Alright, and welcome back. Continuing to work on the fuel tanks. In this video, I start putting the tanks together and actually start pro-sealing some of the components of the fuel tank together. And again, this is the left fuel tank, the first fuel tank that I'm working on. I'd like to take a moment just to say thanks to all those that continue to watch these videos. It's fun putting these together. It's a fun project, you know, kind of a side project aside from building the airplane itself. And so I appreciate, you know, those that continue to watch these and make comments and whatnot. So again, thanks. If you get a chance, hit that like button for me. And if you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, and you'll get an email or a notification every time that I'm able to get one of these videos out. So anyway, like I said, working on the left fuel tank, and right here I am working on the bottom drain flange. It's has you final drill number 40 all the holes and then deburr everything and get it ready for attaching to the fuel tank. So now I'm getting ready to put in the bottom skin stiffeners. These are the ones that go laterally along the skin of the fuel tank, and they help distribute the stresses and the weights from the center of the skin in between the ribs to the ribs themselves. And basically the process is the easiest way to do this is attach all the ribs and all of the stiffeners in place, lay down some painter's tape, and then that way you can go back and peel the painter's tape up to get rid of some of the excess pro seal that will squeeze out, just to kind of keep it neat. One of the things I forgot to do after I did this step, I let everything set, and I forgot to pull the blue painter's tape up, so ended up being a pretty big pain in the butt trying to get it all up and clean it up afterwards. So make sure you peel it up while it's still wet. It's a lot easier that way. Also, as you can see, I'm installing the ribs, and I think I like pain and punishment because I'm installing these ribs for no reason. Like I said, the step I'm about to work on is pro-sealing the stiffeners to the bottom of the skin, and there's no need to install these ribs to do this part. I was thinking that I would be able to get it all in one shot, but the Pro Seal sets so fast that I was able to get through the stiffeners, and by the time I was done, I was about halfway through my tube of Pro Seal, and it was already starting to get rock hard and starting to set. So it doesn't help that it's really, really hot. It's been about 100 to 110 degrees outside during the day, so I'm doing a lot of work at night, and the warmer it is, the quicker this stuff sets. So I think the rating is the part of the label on the Pro Seal sim kits is the rating itself that it takes to cure or to set while you're applying it. They have different ones. There's B4, B2, and B1/2. And what that means is B4 is a 4-hour time for you to basically play with it, to use it before it starts setting. The 2 is 2 hours of working time, and half being a half-hour working time. So you want to make sure you take that into account when you purchase your Pro Seal, and make sure you're purchasing, I would say, at least a 2-hour. If it's you know, if you're working on a large amount of items such as the stiffeners or the ribs. If you're just looking to Pro Seal the back end of rivets that you set, you'd probably be able to get away with the half rating Pro Seal. You just have to make sure you're working quickly, but you're just dabbing the back end of it, so that would probably work okay. I made the mistake of using the half-hour rating to try to work most of the stiffeners, and like I said, by the time I was done, it was setting, and I was only able to use about half of the tube before I was done. So just keep that in mind as you're working along. I had a viewer ask me a question on a previous video concerning my Ryobi bandsaw. And he asked if, basically how often do I use the bandsaw, and could you get away with using a hacksaw? And you probably could get away with the hacksaw, but I use my bandsaw a lot, and I much prefer it because it's, to me, I think it's a cleaner cut and a lot straighter cut than I would ever be able to do with a hacksaw. So it's, if I recall correctly, it was like $160 at Home Depot, and I had to special order the band because it was an odd size, but I think it was like $9 for 3 bands. I bought it in November, and when I first started this project, and I've already had to replace the band once because it's got dull, and I'm about to have to replace it a second time. So I would recommend a bandsaw. You do use it a lot throughout the build, and it's a good investment. So I appreciate the question, and if there's any others, by all means bring them up, and I'll let you know what I've come across. And if I don't have an answer, obviously we can figure it out, and it's always good to look stuff up and find out more information. So what I'm doing here is pro sealing the stiffeners to the bottom skin. You might have seen the applicator I'm using is basically a caulking gun with the tube of Pro Seal. So the SimKit Pro Seal tubes, the instructions basically have you use the ramrod to inject the two materials together, and then it has you cycle the plunger, I think it's 60 or 65 times. A cycle is in and then out is one full cycle. So as you're cycling the plunger in and out, you're also twisting at the same time just to mix it up. And it has, he wants to make sure that you get it, mixed very well. And once you get it mixed up, then you put it in the caulking gun that you saw there, and then you have a nozzle that you put on the end of it, and you can cut the end of the nozzle to make it, open it up and make it a little wider and make it a little easier to apply. And you just lay it out like you would a normal caulking gun, and then I take a plastic knife that I've cut at the wide point of the blade to make it flat, and then I use that as a stick to basically trowel out the Pro Seal to flatten it out and spread it out. And then I'm using a technique to where I apply the Pro Seal, spread it out, and then put the stiffeners and the ribs or whatever I'm attaching at the moment, put it in, and then Cleco it, and then I let it sit for a few days to let it cure and tack up a little bit, and then go in and rivet it together. I got that from a gentleman off of the Vans Air Force forums, and said it worked very well for him on multiple tanks that he's done. So I'm trying to repeat those efforts and see how that goes. Now here I'm working on the outer ribs. The inside outer rib is 2 pieces, and the outside outer rib is a single piece. All 3 of them have guide holes that the plant used when they formed the ribs, and they're basically guide holes that holds the material in place while they hydropress the ribs. And then the instructions basically have you fill it in with a rivet and then set the rivet. And then when you get the rivet set, you want to get Pro Seal and seal it up, because it's it's an opening that fuel could get through if you don't seal it up. So you want to make sure you do that on all 3. There's 2 holes per piece and all 3 pieces. And I'm actually doing left and right tanks at the same time, so I actually did it on all 6 pieces. But just some small things that you want to take into account as you're trying to plan out how you're going to apply your Pro Seal and use your time effectively. So just keep that in mind as you're going along. Overall, the Pro Seal has a bad rap. Myself included, I was not looking forward to doing this just because of all the horror stories that you hear. But it's actually not that bad, especially if you're using the applicator, the SimKits, with that caulking gun that you see there, the blue caulking gun. It makes it a whole lot easier to apply, and it's not nearly as bad as what you hear. It does smell, but it's not nasty, open the doors kind of smell. It smells. So anyway, it's not that bad, and it goes by pretty quick. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let this video run out here. And again, I appreciate those that continue to watch. If you get a chance, hit that like button for me. And we'll see you next time around. I'll have a couple more videos, more pro sealing action going on. We'll see you later.